Hello and welcome to episode number 2 of the Human Instrument Mastery podcast. I'm Shimrit Nativ, and today we're going to talk about contrast and how to navigate through it, how to lead yourself through adversity when things don't go your way, how to shift from feeling angry or disappointment or resentful or stressed or anxious to feeling at ease and at peace and forgiving and relaxed and happy. Contrast is part of the physical human experience, and your human instrument is designed for you to navigate through it. The law of opposite is one of the universal laws that rule the physical world. And so that means that everything has its polar opposite. Everything exists to the same degree on the opposite. So this means for you that if you are experiencing anything that is unwanted at any scale, there is an equal amount of the polar positive opposite of that accessible for you. And that is something really worth knowing because when you know how to navigate with this marvelous instrument that you have, you can actually shift and even very quickly from one opposite to its polar, to shift from one frequency to the total opposite frequency and really change your experience very rapidly. And that's what I want to talk to you about. One of the terms that I often use is the eye of the storm, that is the eye of the needle. Let me explain. When you are standing in the eye of the storm, things are not working out, things are crumbling, shit is hitting the fan, then you are in the perfect opportunity to move through that portal of contrast as the eye of the needle that it is to the polar opposite. It's a gate. And I want to share with you something about this word gate. So, in my native language, Hebrew, different words come from 3 or 2 letters root. And sometimes different words that seemingly are unrelated in their meaning actually have a root that connects them together and reveals a deeper meaning and a lot of truth. And so the word gate comes from the same 3 letter root as the word lesson. And the inversion of that 3 letter root is the root of the word richness, abundance. And so when you are in the eye of the storm, there is an opportunity for you to learn a lesson. And when you do, you open a gate to opportunity. You can step into an expansion, a richness, an abundance that was always there accessible for you on the other side of that scale, on the other side of that gate, on the other side of that eye of the storm that becomes the eye of the needle. So, how do you do that? First of all, this understanding is crucial and useful and precious for you. One of my mentors, the late Bob Proctor, said, faith based on understanding is the key to freedom. So, when you really understand the universal laws, we are talking here about the law of polarity, the law of relativity. When you really understand the universal laws that govern your reality and that your human instrument is obeying, whether you're aware of it or not, then you can develop faith. And as you are navigating the contrast and not yet experiencing what you want in your physical reality, you can think, feel, and act with faith. And that faith is not empty, it's not a wish or a hope. It is based and rooted in understanding. And that is the key to freedom. That is the key to that gate. Now, challenges come to our experience as those opportunities. And those are like those lessons that are knocking on the gate for us to open and learn and release and expand. And when we don't listen to the knock and when we don't open up to learn the lesson and to open the gate, they will come again and again, either in feelings that we do not enjoy feeling, or through experiences in our physical health, in our relationships, in our money, or anything else in our human experience. And so those lessons will keep knocking at our door until we are ready to open. I will give you an example from my own personal journey. When I was in my 20s, I dedicated a few years of my life to several relationships. I was for a few years with this partner, then I was for a few years with this partner, then I was for a few years with this partner, and none of these choices were the right choices for me. And I reached a point in my late 20s, almost 30, where I was coming out of another relationship, heartbroken, and I was already very much aware of this pattern and what needed to change, but I still haven't really learned the lesson. And I found myself falling in love once again with someone that was not the right choice for me, and literally observing myself going through that all over again. And that is when I discovered that I had precancerous lesions in my cervix. And it was actually a complete intuition that led me to go and check and find out that was the condition. It was quite severe or advanced already, and it demanded immediate intervention. But I knew that if I would just go and do the medical procedure, I will not have the opportunity to actually learn the lesson, and it will come again and again in my life in one way or another until I do. And so I really insisted and found a doctor that was willing to give me a few months to do my thing. And so for a few months, I went into a very deep healing process with the help of teachers and mentors. And I've done a lot of work that today is part of what I teach and guide others through as well. And I have learned about things that have happened to me in my past that were related to my brother and his death. Things that I knew already because I've gone to therapy and I've done the work around them, but didn't yet access the deeper layers that allowed me to release the learning. One of my other great mentors, Dr. Joe Dispenza, says that wisdom is the experience without its emotional charge. And so, as long as we still carry the emotional charge of an experience that we've had that we may call trauma, we cannot release the learning and become wiser. And we keep then reliving that same experience in our life in one way or another. And that's what creates those patterns in our life. In my story, in this case, in relationships. And this lesson kept knocking on my gate and I wouldn't open. And here we go, another relationship and another relationship until it manifested in my body. And that knock was loud enough for me to open the door and learn the lesson and release that wisdom and that emotional charge that I was still carrying in my body and in my field. Thanks to the inner work that I was doing, I was able to not only heal my body, but also shift completely that pattern in relationships. And very quickly, I manifested the love of my life and the man who is now my husband and the father of my child. My child is 12 years old. We are together now for about 14 years. He came along very quickly after this healing process and this learning process. And I was able to choose him and stay together all these years and create this beautiful life. But I was only able to do that once I opened that gate, learned that lesson, and stepped into that richer version of myself and my life when it comes to relationships. And so I want you to take from this the power of contrast. And I want to give you another angle to it to understand the power of contrast in yet another way. Without contrast, you cannot have a desire. And the desire is the unexpressed possibility within seeking expression through you. Your feeling of desire, of preference, of passion, of excitement, these are feelings that are frequencies and vibrations that are coming from source, from your soul. And it is life that is seeking expression through you. And you wouldn't be able to have a desire or to have preferences or to be passionate or excited about something if there wasn't contrast, if there wasn't something that you are aware that you don't want, that you don't prefer. And so the importance of contrast in the human experience is to be able to yield more life through the preferences that you make as you are experiencing the contrast. And so contrast is part of the human experience, and it is an important part of your journey. And when you know how to navigate it and how to really lead and drive this human instrument to do that, you're able to actually stand in the eye of the storm and make it through the eye of the needle, learn lessons, open gates, and step into richer and grander versions of yourself and experience life in more and fuller ways. And I want to give you one more example from a story of one of my clients, Emma, who worked with me. Emma came to me when she was really in the eye of the storm. She was going through a very brutal divorce, living in the same house with her ex that would not leave, sleeping on a mattress in her living room while living in that house with her ex and her teenage daughter, working in a very low paying, unfulfilling job, and having a desire for a life of freedom and empowerment. And she knew that life was calling her. That was her desire. That was the voice of her soul calling her to what is accessible for her. And she knew that she wanted to come out the other side, release the wisdom that this experience was offering her, and then help other women in a similar situation do the same. And so she did, with the understanding of this material and with the process of practicing and mastering her human instrument. She was able to turn her life around completely. Not only did she won the legal battle with her ex and got to live in that house with her daughter on their own, she was also able to find a better paying job where she had to work much less. So she had the time to build her coaching business and have women come to her so she can help them create the same transformation. So you can see that her greatest adversity, her greatest challenge, this greatest contrast between the life she was experiencing and the life she wanted to create for herself actually gave her the opportunity to do just that, to create that life, and then to, of course, help other people do the same. And so what I would love for you to take from this again is the power of contrast, and really look at your life and see what is it in your life that you are currently wanting to be different, and what is the learning that you can really extract from that, and the emotional charge that you can now release so you can become wiser and richer in life and maybe help others do the same. And if you want to have some help with that, I would love to share with you a training. It's a free 3 days training with 3 sessions that you can watch, with some integration work that you can implement, and with support that me and my team would love to offer you. And you can send me a message on Instagram or Messenger. You can find the links here in the notes for this episode. And just let me know that you've watched this episode and that you would love access to that training. And I will send you the link right away. There are some meditations there and really powerful insights and tools that will help you create some really rapid shifts in whatever it is that you're going through and whatever it is that you want to create. Thank you so much for being with me here today. Don't forget to follow, to subscribe, and to share it with someone else that you think can benefit from this information. I'll see you next week.